Hey friends. Gosh, I've been doing so much reflecting the last couple days about relationships and how they are everywhere and how they impact everyone and everything here in this life. And I've been thinking about this because I've got a workshop coming up, and another story kind of came to mind that I wanted to share with you, and um, maybe it might resonate. Maybe, hopefully, it doesn't. But and kind of reflecting, I was thinking about a experience I had when I worked for a company back when I worked in the 9 to 5 world. I had this colleague that I really struggled in relationship with. Um, I was definitely on the younger side. I was in my early 20s, just sort of my first few years in the workforce, and she had been in the workforce for quite a while, and she had a lot of experience. And she and I, as time went on, at first we were wonderful together, and then as time went on, things started to shift. And I never really knew why. But there was this one day in particular that's coming to mind where I went into work and I could tell she was having a rough day. And even though the relationship was on the rocks, I decided to kind of lean against the filing cabinet next to her desk and kind of pop in and ask, like, is there anything that I can do to help you? Is there anything I can take off your plate that would be, make your load lighter? And she looked, I will never forget this. She rolled back her chair really aggressively, turned to me, and she said, Carly, this is a big girl problem. That about had my jaw drop to the floor. The negativity that was just thrown at me in my attempt to actually support and connect with this person. And my response was, like, first and foremost, pure shock. And then secondarily, it was all these defensive stories in my mind. And it ended up perpetuating defensive behavior from me, defensive behavior from her. It just ended up culminating in the worst working relationship I think I've ever had. And years later, and maybe it was actually a couple months later, I ended up finding out that that particular colleague was going through some of the most difficult times in her life. She was dealing with chronic health issues where she wasn't able to eat. And there was, stuff going on at home, and it was just a really, really difficult time for her. And you guys might know at this point that the work that I've been doing for the last 6 years at the Stress Less company, is helping people who experience some sort of devastating loss or devastating past challenge to manage their day-to-day stress in a way that creates satisfying results. Just one of which is more fulfilling relationships. And having that lens made that my perception of that situation so much different, right? Because when we go through devastating loss or we experience a devastating past challenge, what happens is our nervous system rewires to become more sensitive. So little things that maybe annoyed us before can have us fully triggered, fully in that fight, flight, or freeze mode. Irritation can pop up. Stressors feel like the weight of the world. And at the same time, it's the people that are going through these things that have that more sensitive nervous system, like I had, that need relationships, healthy relationships, and need that like space to be held for them so much more, because that's where the healing begins to happen. That's how it escalates the healing. And I think about my work with Safe Conversations. I've got this workshop coming up on April 22nd, which I can tell you about here in a sec, but about how that relationship could have been so much different how to use the tools of safe conversations. So in that moment, let's say, where she turned to me and she said, Carly, this is a big girl problem, right? Pure attitude. Instead of me coming back to her with, well, first shock, I probably would still respond with a little bit of shock today. But instead of coming back with defensiveness and putting negativity back into the relationship and then perpetuating it for years, instead of doing that, I would have had the tools of safe conversations where I would have been able to, first of all, not take on that negative energy. And second, to be able to communicate with her in a way which is safe for me and respectful of her. And it would have cut that negative energy out from the start. It would have created safety for both of us if I had used the tools of safe conversations. I imagine that it would have actually deepened our connection. It would have deepened our connection because perhaps she might have felt safe. I certainly would have felt more safe. And in safety comes connection. In safety comes vulnerability. In safety comes intimacy. In safety comes the place where we can feel like we're on the same team and we're not against each other, but we're together in this. Even if it's dark, even if it's hard, we got this together. So yeah, I just wanted to share that story because the work of safe conversations has that capacity. It has the ability to help us connect so that we can communicate. It helps us to be able to learn how to talk without criticism, how to listen without judgment, and how to really connect beyond difference. And it applies to all of our relationships, right? Work, home, school, friends, lovers, everywhere. It has the capacity to create that connection, to move us out of that place of defensiveness, out of that place of conflict, out of that place of struggle and loneliness and despondency and hopelessness and depression, right? If the spiral goes down, and into full aliveness, into connection, into love, into intimacy, the good kind, right? Like into all of these really, really beautiful, juicy things that life has to offer. So I wanted to share that story because I know that I'm not the only one that's has some crazy work story. But to share it, to know that even though things like that have happened, maybe they're happening for you right now, that they don't have to be that way. There are tools like safe conversations that can help us actually heal our relationships and find a new way to connect that feels good for everyone involved. So if this is something that really feels juicy for you, it feels like it resonates for you, then what I would love to do is invite you to join me on April 22nd. April 22nd from noon to 4 p.m. Eastern time, and come to the Safe Conversations workshop. It's online, so you can join from anywhere in the world and learn these tools. Learn this tool so that you can transform your relationship. I'm going to leave the link hanging around somewhere in the description here. But if for some reason you can't find it, you can also go to Eventbrite and just search Safe Conversations. You'll find an event put on by the Stress Less Company, which is my business and my company, and grab your ticket. Early bird tickets end today, so make sure to grab your ticket before prices go up. All right. I'm sending you so much love. All right. Mwah. Bye.